Utah State University Extension, you're a horticulturist, and we talk about Thanksgiving Point, which you're there, and we're all down there a lot. It's such a great place to go. But right now we're going to talk about trees and poinsettias. So everybody, most people, get a tree for their house. Most of them, I would assume, get live trees, or a lot of people still do. You've brought some. We have a little forest going on in here. So, Michael, let's talk about trees in general for the first part here. What do we need to be looking at when we're trying to find ourselves a fresh Christmas tree?
So there's several key things to look for. The most obvious one is just making sure that the needles are fresh. And on a lot of these trees, actually coming over while you're looking at the tree and actually giving a little pull on the needles. And if they stay on really well, then that's probably going to be a fresh tree.
Okay.
If you even take a needle off and crush it a little bit, it should be fragrant and have that rich pine tree smell that will fill your home with all that great smell.
Okay, you don't want to see a bunch of needles down at the base of the tree as well, I would assume.
Not a lot. It's okay to see a few because some of those needles on the very inside of the tree, they normally get shed every year.
Okay.
So a few's okay, but if it kind of creates a carpet down there, then I'd probably pick a different tree.
Yeah, here's our problem. We went out looking for a tree over the weekend, and we couldn't find any trees that, well, we found a couple, but most of them were still bundled up, you know, wrapped up. How do you know if there's a good tree in there or not? That was kind of frustrating.
Yeah, that's hard when they're not unbundled yet. You want to look and make sure that, you know, they're pretty even and they've got good branch spacing. But, you know, you can always turn a tree towards the wall and hide a bad spot or something like that, but you don't really know unless they're unwrapped. And they take some time to relax after they've been in transport. They'll take a day or two.
Now, they bring in a lot of trees in most places. They're imported, if you will. Now, some are grown local, some are imported. Which one's best?
You know, really fresh, whatever's going to be the freshest. So if we can find them locally, those are probably going to be the freshest, just simply because they haven't had to come in from Oregon or Idaho or Washington and travel those long distances. But a lot of it is how much time they spend on those trucks.
Okay, now a lot of folks think about planting real trees or buying trees that are already potted. What do you think about that?
Those are a great idea, and there's been a lot of interest in that because people can actually then not kill a tree. They can actually then just take it and plant it in their yard. What we actually recommend for that is plan ahead, because you're probably going to want to have the hole dug in the yard before the ground freezes.
Okay.
So that when that tree is done at Christmas, you can go and set it in the ground, or right when it's done at Christmas, set it in the ground, fill it in, and put some water on that to get it going through the winter.
And then what do you do if indeed the ground's already frozen? Leave it in the pot till spring?
Yep, leave it in the pot till spring. Recommend trying to just keep it on the porch or maybe even in the cold garage until the weather warms up a little bit, and then just making sure that it stays wet.
Okay, awesome. And now, keeping a tree healthy, once you have that tree in your home, what's the best way to keep that tree moving and not drying out as long as possible?
Yeah, the biggest challenge to that is just making sure that the water basin at the bottom is large enough. And there are a lot of tree stands out there, and some good old-fashioned metal ones like that I had growing up.
Sure, I think
they don't hold.
The red tin. And
the red tin with the little legs that came out on it. Yeah. You kind of assemble it as you go and hope the screws didn't disappear over
exactly, which they almost always did.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on to poinsettias. First of all, they're one of the biggest plants of the holidays. Almost everybody has at least one in their home, and it's just a very festive plant to have. We had the pet telethon yesterday, as you may have heard, and we did talk with a gentleman who insisted or secured the idea that they are indeed poisonous to animals. So beyond that, what should we go looking for when we're out looking for poinsettias?
So poinsettias are the #1 potted crop in the nation.
Really?
So by far, in that 6-week period of when they're sold, we sell more poinsettias as a potted crop than all the mums and Easter lilies and everything else combined.
That's crazy.
So they are the most popular winter holiday crop. As you can see, they're available in a wide variety.
Yeah, they've come a long way, I think.
They have come a long way.
Look at that. That's beautiful.
They even paint them now, as you can see right there behind you. There's glitter. There's all kinds of ways to dress them up.
Yeah, this one over here.
Yeah.
So this is actually painted after
So that
the
is
fact?
painted after the fact. It's actually a pink one that has been painted orange.
Very nice.
And then has the glitter added, and some stores will actually request that from the grower. These poinsettias came from Olson's Greenhouse Gardens down in Salem, and they actually receive an order and that order requires them to be painted, and so they'll paint them and decorate them however people like them. So,
how long should a poinsettia last?
You know, I've had poinsettias with nice color on their leaves and stuff clear through April.
Really?
And the real trick to them is making sure that they don't get overwatered. Actually, kind of keep them on the dry side. A lot of people will like to water them every day, but really indoors it's probably about once a week. And let them get good and dry.
Okay, well, so dry them out before, and then just make sure that they're nice and dry, and then get them nice and wet, and then wait till they're dry again, right?
Yep, and you can take the little pot cover off before you water. Let all that extra water drain out of there. Don't let them sit with wet feet. They don't like that.
Very good. Well, Michael, Caron, thanks so much for being here.
Oh,
we
thanks for
appreciate
having me.
Always great advice, and get your Christmas tree